With each passing decade, the amount of video game players is expanding rapidly. What type of impact is this nerd subculture having on society and the gaming industry itself? Video games and controversy have always been linked together. It began when the heavily pixelated game Death Race was released in 1976. The game, which by today's standards would be seen as tame and basic, caused public outrage because the aim of the game was to run over zombies, and as you did so they cried in pain, and a gravestone appeared. So the game was taken off the market, leading to the beginning of the video games are too violent debate. Audiences hadn't seen true violence, however, until the release of Mortal Kombat in 1993. Its famous fatality move was deemed extremely bloody and unnecessarily aggressive, so much so that it was addressed during a congressional hearing. During the hearing, Professor Eugene F. Parenzo commented that Mortal Kombat and another similar game, Night Trap, have almost TV quality graphics, but are overwhelmingly violent, sexist and racist. All the new attention by the media resulted in the creation of the ESRB, Entertainment Software Rating Board. The board reviews games and will assign them to a suitable rating. For those of you wondering, Mortal Kombat was the first game to be rated M for mature. Look online and you will find a multitude of articles and links to people asking the question, do video games make people violent? Some people would say yes, and that these gory games have been the main contributor towards many extreme crimes.
In video games, you race, shoot, and tackle. You pop them in the head.
When Anders Brehering Breivik was convicted of killing 77 people, he claimed to have used the game Call of Duty as a way of training his shooting skills, even going into detail about the type of weapon attachments he used to prepare for his spree.
Breivik had hoped to address the court one last time, but his microphone was cut. Those nearest heard him say he apologized for not killing more people.
Grand Theft Auto has also been a game that a few individuals have recreated themselves. The high-speed chases and criminal activities in the game were so exciting to a group of friends in 2008 that they went out into their city and committed multiple accounts of assault, robbery and vandalism. Once caught, the teens apparently all but admitted to recreating Grand Theft Auto, and police treated the crime as a recreation of the violent video game. Columbine is a word that many people will recognise, for all the wrong reasons. In 1999, 2 students went into their school and opened fire in multiple areas around the campus, killing 11 students, 1 teacher and seriously injuring several dozen others, before turning their guns on themselves and committing suicide. There are many theories behind what made the 2 boys want to commit such a horrific crime, the main one being due to the influence of the 1993 game Doom. When the game was released, it was credited as being one of the pioneers of realistic video game violence, and it was one of the first FPS games that people played. It was stated that the shooters at Columbine were avid players of the game. However, to counter this, we just need to look at the diary entry written by one of the shooters.
The one who I thought was my true love is not even a shell of what I want the most. I have no happiness, no ambitions, no friends, and no love.
This shows us that the killer was feeling lonely and that the world was against him, which could have potentially led him to shoot at the school.
Nerd! Hey pal, did you get a load of the nerd?
Pardon me?
Loneliness is part of the gaming stigma. They are stereotyped as looking a certain way and being a certain gender. People have been known to perceive gamers as nerdy, lazy and weird. We can see this from certain TV programs and the media. Having this image of gamers promotes games as being a waste of time and gives the impression it's supplying no benefits to the world. However, There is the argument that actually video gaming can be a positive activity to engage in. Jane McGonigal gave a TED Talk in 2010, and she explains further.
3 billion hours a week is not nearly enough gameplay to solve the world's most urgent problems. Gamers can achieve more in online worlds than they can in real life. They can have stronger social relationships in games than they can have in real life. They get better feedback and feel more rewarded in games than they do in real life. So he says, for now, it makes perfect sense for gamers to spend more time in virtual worlds than the real world.
This video explains a really good point we could focus on when arguing against the stigma of gaming. Gamers must be intelligent to be able to solve all of these problems. They show determination when trying to complete challenges, so you could say that they could be put into great practice for the real world. Nerds are often shown as spotty, four-eyed, antisocial and rather large. We can see that this is projected all throughout the media, in the past and very present. In past shows, we see the typical Steve Urkel-like vision of a nerd.
Hi, Laura. Can't get a date for the dance.
Because the media have perceived nerds as having these attributes, people take it as a negative thing. Glasses, for example. We see people in shows and movies who are wearing glasses are normally the geeky, unpopular, nerdy character.
Do you wear contact lenses?
Well, I have them, but I don't really like to wear them that much.
Now, you do.
Some programs have storylines so that when they take their glasses off, they are no longer ugly and nerdy and go on to become popular. Which gives people in today's society the impression that being a nerd is not a good thing. There's also the debate on whether or not gaming is just a lazy hobby or whether it is actually a very smart skill. It's said that gamers can spend near enough around 12 hours a day playing games, and now it's even classed as a sport. With the rise of internet and gaming forums, it has united all nerds across the world and made what looked like a niche idea to the next big sporting event that all big sports networks around the world wanting in.
I believe we need to preface this with, we know nothing.
Esports saw a massive explosive growth in 2012 and has continued to rise ever since, with viewership growing from hundreds to millions.
So smart! Oh my God! Genius! So smart, he couldn't burst because of the super. But Washiga thinks it's over! Lock down, but he won the last round! And the Noah doesn't care! He still got 65%! Oh my God! Washiga, no! Washiga, not like this! What are you standing up for? Why? Oh my God!
The image of an Olympian is associated with physical excellence, a sculpted body chipped into perfection after years of careful maintenance and preparation. These people are expected by the world to perform great physical feats that elevate them above the status quota. Is that why so many are scornful of the notion that competitive video gaming, or esports as it came to be known, should stand alongside them in the world of professional sports? This, however, requires rethinking, hoarding massive numbers of gamers that both play games and spectate games online. Today, the esports industry is worth an estimated $700 million. In 3 years, that number is predicted to have doubled to an estimated 1.5 billion. Fan numbers are countless, its finance is booming, and sponsorship for some of the best teams seeing big name companies already getting involved.
Watching it, I have this argument all the time. People are like, oh, no one wants to watch anyone play video games. That's so boring. League of Legends, I think there was about 18,000 people in the stadium live, and then 32 million watched the final.
Wow.
This is what kids are doing. This is what people want to see.
But what exactly is esports?
So when we say esports, what we're talking about is professional, competitive video gaming. Players who play 10 or 12 hours a day to become the best of the world. Over 50,000 people are going to come and watch them here this weekend at the Spodek Arena, and there's a predicted audience who are going to watch online of over 20 million people.
There are professional teams, there are leagues, there are seasons and weekly broadcasts. The revenue is there, and the investors. it demands to be taken seriously. The host of top sports stars are investing in esports franchises, including the Formula One driver Fernando Alonso and the Formula basketball player Magic Johnson. When the US-based Sports Business Journal released its annual list of the 50 most influential people, 10 were from esports. Meanwhile, the International Olympic Committee has taken a big step towards recognising it as a legitimate sport, opening the possibility that esports could feature in the 2024 Paris Olympics, 2 years after it makes its debut at the Asian Games. More than 200 million Wii, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 systems were sold worldwide. Of 12 million subscribers were paying $15 a month to play the online game World of Warcraft. And competitors were plotting to develop worthy rivals, and yet the gaming world has found itself stumbling on the edge of a financial cliff. In the first 8 months of 2012, retail sales of video games plummeted 20% in the United States. The company credited with saving the industry last time was Nintendo, but with sales of its follow-up underperforming what could save the industry. Though it hasn't all been doom and gloom, with evidence of the increasing player willingness to play video games across a variety of media and different platforms. This can be seen in the rise of casual gaming on smartphones, tablets and social networking sites. As 92% of all smartphone and tablet owners play games at least once a week, 45% play daily. And industry estimates predict that by 2016, 1/3 of all global mobile gaming revenue will come from tablets alone. Apple's App Store alone has more than 90,000 game apps, a growth of 1,400% since it went online. In addition, game revenues for iOS and Android mobile devices now exceed those of both Nintendo and Sony handheld gaming systems combined. Apple are currently in the process of expanding their technology. They want to release a new augmented reality platform in the future, and it is currently being trialled and can be downloaded from the iOS store. The Guardian Online, however, states that the future of gaming will be driven towards VR, with groups of friends already having new opportunities to explore virtual worlds and meet in online chat rooms and hang out.
No! Oh no! Oh no! 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 I can't do it. Oh, I can't do that.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Indie games could also take the world by storm. In recent years, there have been many games released that have had just a few people involved in the creation of the game.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why?
And such gamers have still gone on to be extremely popular, with many YouTube gamers playing them due to them being highly requested.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead.
Games like Five Nights at Freddy's, Stardew Valley and Papers, Please, whilst having basic mechanics and not too complex graphics, they are still able to hook in the players and have them ranking up many hours of gameplay to explore the in-game lore and storylines.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Throughout this film, we have discussed and explored how the gaming world has developed and changed the nerd culture. So, what type of impact is this nerd subculture having on our society? Well, as we can see from the research we have found, the gaming world still has a lot of controversy surrounding it, which with the growth of new technology and more people getting involved with the gaming world, it creates a slight concern. Society will have to watch out